And this is Masterpiece Classics. This week, as we continue our series on Irish nationalists, we celebrate Robert Emmet. Shortly after the American and French Revolution, one Irishman stood up against British oppression. As the British attempted to convert Irish Catholics to Anglicanism and impose British lords over Irish farmers, Emmet felt that his Irish freedom was being threatened. Though a Protestant himself, he believed that the Irish should have the right of representation in Parliament. Joined by the United Irish Society, Emmet led the 1803 rebellion for the cause of independence of Ireland, sticking his middle finger to the British by asking the French for help. He signed his own death warrant. This eventually led to his horrific execution at the hands of the British. Romance, betrayal, and duty all play a part of this compelling tale. But today, join us as we witness the final words of this unsung Irish hero. Before he was hanged, drawn, and quartered, the judges asked Robert Emmet to defend himself. This was his reply.
What have I to say why a sentence of death should not be pronounced on me according to law? I have nothing to say which can alter your predetermination. Not that it would become me to say with any view to the mitigation of that sentence which you are here to pronounce and by which I must abide. But I have that to say which interests me more than life and which you have labored to destroy. I have much to say which my reputation should be rescued from the load of false accusation and calumny which has been heaped upon it. I do not imagine that seated where you are, your minds can be so free from impurity as to receive the least impression from what I am about to utter. I have no hope that I can anchor my character in the breast of a court constituted and trammelled as this is. I only wish, and it is the utmost I expect, that your lordships may suffer it to float down your memories untainted by the foul breath of prejudice until it finds some more hospitable harbour to shelter it from the rude storm by which it is at present buffeted. Were I only to suffer death after being adjudged guilty by your tribunal, I should bow in silence, meet the fate that awaits me without a murmur. But the sentence of the law, which delivers my body to the executioner, will, through the ministry of the law, labour in its own vindication to consign my character to obloquy, for there must be guilt somewhere. Whether in the sentence of the court or in the catastrophes, posterity must determine. A man in my situation, my lords, has not only to encounter the difficulties of fortune, but the force of power and how it has subjugated and corrupted, that mine may not perish, that it may live in the respect of my countrymen. I seize upon this opportunity to vindicate myself from some of the charges that have been alleged against me, when my spirit shall be wafted to a more friendly port, when my shade shall have joined the bands of those martyred heroes who have shed their blood on the scaffold and the field in defense of their country and of virtue. This is my hope. I wish that my memory and name may animate those who survive me, while I look down with complacency on the destruction of that perfidious government which upholds its domination by blasphemy of the Most High, a government which is steeled to barbarity by the cries of the orphans and the tears of the widows which it has made. I appeal to the immaculate God. I swear by the throne of heaven, before which I must shortly appear, by the blood of the murdered patriots who have gone before me, that my conduct has been, through all this peril and through all my purposes, governed only by the convictions which I have uttered, and by no other view than that of the emancipation of my country from the superhuman oppression under which she has so long and too patiently travailed. And I confidently and assuredly hope that, wild and chimerical as it may appear, there is still union and strength in Ireland to accomplish this noblest enterprise. You, my lord, are a judge. I am the supposed culprit. I am a man. You are a man also. By a revolution of power, we might change places, though we could never change characters. If I stand at the bar of this court and dare not to vindicate my character, what a farce is your justice? If I stand at this bar and dare not vindicate my character, how dare you calumniate it? Does the sentence of death which your unhallowed policy inflicts upon my body also condemn my tongue to silence and my reputation to reproach? Your executioner may abridge the period of my existence, but while I exist, I shall not forbear to vindicate my character and motives from your aspersions. As a man to whom fame is dearer than life, I will make the last use of that life in doing justice to that reputation which is to live after me, and which is the only legacy I can leave to those I honor and love, and for whom I am proud to perish. I am charged with being an emissary of France. An emissary of France. It is alleged that I wish to sell the independence of my country, and for what end? Was this the object of my ambition? No, I am no emissary. My ambition was to hold a place among the deliverers of my country, not in power, not in profit, but in the glory of the achievement. Oh, my country! My country was my idol. To it I sacrificed every selfish, every endearing sentiment, and for it I now offer myself, O God. No, my lords, I acted as an Irishman, determined on delivering my country from the yoke of a foreign and unrelenting tyranny, and from the more galling yoke of domestic faction. It was the wish of my heart to extricate my country from this doubly riveted despotism. I wish to place her independence beyond the reach of any power on earth. I wish to exalt her to that proud station in the world which Providence had destined her to fill. Were the French to assume any authority inconsistent with the purest independence, it would be the signal for their destruction. Yes, my countrymen, I should advise you to meet them on the beach with a sword in one hand and a torch in the other. I would meet them with all the destructive fury of war, and I would animate my countrymen to immolate them in their boats before they had contaminated the soil of my country. If they succeeded in landing, and if forced to retire before superior discipline, I would dispute every inch of ground. I would raze every house. I would burn every blade of grass. The last spot on which the hope of freedom should desert me, there would I hold, and the last of liberty should be my grave. I, who fear not to approach the omnipotent judge to answer for the conduct of my whole life, am I to be appalled and falsified by a mere remnant of mortality here? By you too, who, if it were possible to collect all the innocent blood that you have shed in your unhallowed ministry in one great reservoir, your lordship might swim in it. Let no man dare, when I am dead, to charge me with dishonor. Let no man attaint my memory by believing that I could have engaged in any cause but that of my country's liberty and independence, or that I could have become the pliant minion of power in the oppression and misery of my countrymen. I would not have submitted to a foreign oppressor for the same reason that I would resist the domestic tyrant. In the dignity of freedom, I would have fought upon the threshold of my country, and its enemy should only enter by passing over my lifeless corpse. And am I, who lived but for my country, who have subjected myself to the dangers of the jealous and watchful oppressor, and now to the bondage of the grave, only to give my countrymen their rights, and my country her independence? Am I to be loaded with calumny and not suffer to resent it? No, God forbid! If the spirits of the illustrious dead participate in the concerns and cares of those who are dear to them in this transitory life. O ever dear and venerated shade of my departed father, look with scrutiny upon the suffering of your son, and see if I have, even for a moment, deviated from those principles of morality and patriotism which it was your care to instill in my youthful mind, and for which I am now about to offer up my life. My lords, you seem impatient for the sacrifice. The blood for which you thirst is not congealed by the artificial terrors which surround your victim. It circulates warmly and unruffled through the channels which God created for noble purposes, but which you are now bent to destroy, for purposes so grievous that they cry to heaven. Be yet patient. I have but a few words more to say. I am going to my cold and silent grave. My lamp of life is nearly extinguished. My race is run, and the grave opens to receive me, and I sink into its bosom. I have but one request to ask at my departure from this world. It is the charity of its silence. Let them and me rest in obscurity and peace, and my name remained uninscribed until other times and other men can do justice to my character. When my country takes her place among the nations of the earth, then, and not till then, let my epitaph be written.